Let's look at the lab for the private catalog. We're going to look at the software evidence on a particular device first. So I'm going to go to Inventory, IT Visibility Devices. Under device name, I'm going to look at LT 000 or 000076. Open that up. Click on the Software Evidence tab. And you can see 3 pieces of software evidence, one that has a Technopedia match and 2 that do not. If I want to look at some more information, I can click on the column chooser, select the other fields here, click on the chooser again, and now you can see the Acrobat has a recognition status active, so it has a mapping in Technopedia and returns the Technopedia normalized application. The Office Professional Plus is unrecognized and the Windows 7 is irrelevant. Irrelevant means it's also mapped in Technopedia, it's just not part of the normalized data set in the end. So this piece of evidence is unrecognized, and this is going to be our example to create a private catalog entry. Now, to create a private catalog entry, we're going to need to fill out a form. So that's going to ask us for some fields that we probably want to already know the answer of. To help with that, I'm going to go to the Technopedia, put this in a new tab, go to Technopedia itself, and then look up a similar piece of software. So the filters in the top, and then, well, let me go to software. Filters on the top, we have the software products, and below that, the software releases. I'm eventually want to go to the software release level. First, let me put on some filters. So I know the manufacturer is Microsoft. Category is productivity. Product name is Office. In the edition, Professional Plus. So I have my software product, and as I scroll down the software releases, you can see I've got all kinds of releases, and I scroll over to the right, you can see the release sequence. I'm looking for a 2019 version, so I'm going to scroll down to Office 16 2019. I'll go ahead and click on that, and then I can see other fields that I'll need to create a private catalog entry. So I've got the product family, the edition, whether it's licensable, category, version, subcategory. So I'll make note of that. And then go back to the device, click on the evidence, go to mapping, then I can click on add mapping. So if it had a current mapping, it would show up here. If I want to add this private mapping, I would click on add mapping. Here I can search for an application. For instance, I could type in Microsoft and it'll show me all the Microsoft, and I could do some searches here for something close to version 16 2019. But I want to create its own application so that I can separate the specific evidence for that machine into its own product rather than try to mix it with the other devices that might have a different named evidence for the same product. So this will tell me which devices have this specific evidence on it. So I'm going to create a new release and fill in these fields. Now you can see I added the word private for Office. This wouldn't be typically found in the Microsoft catalog, but I added it so that we can search for applications and find our specific newly created app. We can also find it as a source that equals local, but that won't be in the application list. So that is the release we're going to create. We'll hit finish. Now at the bottom for the private mapping configuration, you can see that the source is local and it has the word private in the product. So now we'll just wait for normalization so that we can come back to this hardware device and see that this evidence is actually mapped now. We can also look at the private mappings themselves. They go in application evidence, private catalog releases, and the one we just created will show up. So there's the private professional plus 16. Now I'm looking at the org after the normalization occurred overnight, so we could look at the results of our private catalog evidence. So first I'll take a look at the device itself that we started with, LT00076. And if we look at the software evidence, we can now see that the Office evidence mapped into Technopedia. And if I turn on some of the other fields here, you can see it was an active match. We have the Technopedia entry, and that the product ID starts with the letters PRIV, which we'll also see that in the release ID. And if I go to the private catalog releases, you can see that I've got 50 items mapped through this private catalog release.